join, but I had to end the other one because my voice was echoing. I apologize for that. But in today's live, I am going to teach everyone how to be unmesswithable, how to uphold your boundaries from anyone and anything that seeks to violate them while remaining a good person without becoming immoral or being in the wrong. So to do this, first, understand that most people are selfish animals. They don't truly, unconditionally care about you. And those that do probably have a limit to how far they're capable of loving you. That limit being governed by their own self-mastery and where they're at in that process. And truth be told, most people aren't very far at all. So whether intentional or not, most people will eventually violate you and your boundaries continuously. No one should have to put up with that. So now, all of the strong, now is the moment to rise and take responsibility for your own experiences in life. And protecting your boundaries is an aspect of being responsible for your own experience. To do this effectively, you must traverse the path of self-mastery yourself. The more you grow, the better your experience of life will be. To effectively protect your boundaries and allow yourself to grow, you must cultivate many things, but one of the most important things is detachment. Detachment from other people's opinions, pleasure, the rat race, things which anger you or upset you, things you dislike or even like, all of the 7 sins, everything in this world basically. And the more true detachment you acquire, the more effectively you will be able to operate within this multifaceted matrix of our existence. As you uphold your boundaries, you must do so without any emotional attachment of any kind. That means no anger or reaction. The less, the better. Even if you can't have no anger or reaction, the less you do, the better you will operate in life. Train yourself to respond to stimuli, not react to it. Like a surgeon performing a surgery, you must remove the cancerous diseases from the larger body of your ecosystem, like removing weeds or pests from your garden. To do this effectively, sometimes you must give people tough love, educate them, however you do, and however that means. Different situations can seem a different way. Sometimes it could be with a word, a talk, an insult, a slap, whatever is necessary. But focus on giving them what they need, not what they want. Understand that you need to be aggressive at times, and you need your dark side. But you must be in control of it, though. You must direct it. It should never control you. For if your dark side is controlling you, that will eventually lead to disaster for you, even if not at first. Being capable of being mean is necessary because some people take advantage of your niceness. And like narcissists, cowards, manipulators, gaslighters, passive-aggressive people, the more impenetrable and unmesswithable you become, the more these types will inevitably expose themselves around you because they won't be able to mess with you as easily. So they will begin to their emotions will begin to influence their decisions. Have principles. You should have principles. Like cultivate some form of higher guidance or virtues. A religion or a spiritual practice could be good. It's necessary to balance your dark side with your loving side, because you want to, even when you're upholding your boundaries, you don't want to lose sight of your principles, because that will lead to ruin for you eventually, even if it doesn't seem like that at first. You need to become very adept at precisely identifying what is required from you, what is required like of you in any given moment for your own happiness, plus the greater good of all. Keep karma in mind. Always strive to be better. Maintain good intentions as you regularly refine and recalibrate all aspects of your being, all aspects of your your being, behavior, performance, and self. Take stock of your how you performed or how you handled different things. Always strive to be better, make yourself sharper, refine yourself more. But understand and accept that you're not perfect. It's okay to express yourself authentically. You only refine yourself for your own betterment, and because what goes around comes around. You're doing it for yourself, first and foremost. As you do this, a aid or a guide can be your feelings. Your feelings will lead you to the correct way most of the time. They're like your inner compass linked to your soul when they're pure and they're not riled up and you're not irritated, or they're not dark. Love yourself and prioritize yourself selfishly, because that's part of self-love. Guard your peace and joy from anyone and anything that threatens or diminishes it. Protect it unapologetically and ruthlessly. You don't require a reason or a justification. If you feel a certain way, that is justification enough. That might sound bad, but eventually you'll get to that point. And that's how you need to proceed with things. And screw anyone who tries to convince you otherwise. Who tries to convince you that your feelings are wrong, or you're wrong about a situation, or if they try to lead you astray in any way. Expand your senses. Be sensitive, for that's a gift which attunes you to your environment and everything in it. Your entire ecosystem can become a part of you, an extension of you, if you master this gift of sensing or empathizing or feeling things, which everybody has, but some people have it more. Believing sensitivity is a weakness is a lie, which ignorant individuals with an agenda have implanted and fed in everybody, but it's especially been cultivated in naturally gifted individuals, causing the gifted to feel bad about themselves and try to be something they're not, keeping them away from their creator-given gifts and ultimate life purpose, which cultivating these gifts, and by consequence of doing so, their dreams, they're divinely, like when you're cultivating your gifts, you're also going after your dreams, because they're linked. And when you do that in a divine way, your life unfolds into greatness. Like, your path is already known inside of you. But if anybody has any comments or any questions or anything, comment and we can talk about this. But you can't allow people to mess with you. Most people will go as far as you allow them to. And by upholding your boundaries, you're not doing something wrong. And even if you think you're doing something wrong, does it feel good to allow people to mess with you? If you don't want to flip out on people, you don't need to, but you don't need to go all the way, but you can do a little bit, and you can like uphold your boundaries in some way. You can express yourself. If you don't want to become physical, you can communicate. If you don't want to be insulting in your communication, you can just be direct. There's always different ways that you can go about it, but you should uphold your boundaries and not allow people to mess with you, because everybody has problems and they're dealing with something, but everybody should have the responsibility to take care of their own problems. When you allow people to mess with you, you're not just doing yourself a disservice, you're also doing them a disservice, because you're not giving them what they need. You are enabling them, and you are feeding their bad habits, sort of like a drug addict. Or if if they have a drinking problem, you're just enabling them. So you should educate them. And you don't educate them for their sake, you educate them for your own self-love, because you shouldn't have to deal with that. So anywhere you go and everywhere you go, uphold your boundaries. As you do so, keep your principles in mind. Keep your intentions good. This doesn't mean you go about being mean to people just for the sake of it, but like, you should have good intentions and you should strive to be better all the time. But it's inevitable that you will come across people who are mean and who are rude and try to mess with you. And be aware of your dark side. Express it. Don't carry on that poison that individuals or situations and things try to give to you, because they give rise to it. And then when you try to express it or stick up for yourself, they usually try to make it seem like you are doing something wrong or make you feel bad. Don't care about that. That's where your aggression or your dark side is necessary. Don't get too much into it, too much into the logical aspect of things in that situation. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong. The only thing that matters is you are feeling bad about something, so express yourself and feel better. Don't allow nobody to mess with you. This doesn't mean that you have to like completely embarrass them or destroy them or something, but you don't have to allow that, and you can basically make them feel a little bit of pain. Make them feel pain in some type of way. Whether if it's socially, mentally, emotionally, if they're messing with you, you need to defend yourself. What really matters is your intentions. If your intention is to do good and be good, and then something is messing with you, then defend yourself. Educate them. But see one person in here. Do you have any comments or any ideas or anything you want to add to this? Because it would be helpful if somebody says something so that we can go deeper into this. Hi. Well, this is somewhat inspired by you. Yes, we did. And you somewhat influenced this. You inspired this today because it was relevant. Is there anything you wish to add or anything that's on your mind that you've experienced so far? But basically, so yeah, nobody in this world is perfect. So you shouldn't, like, perfection or being completely pure is a good goal to have, and it keeps you moving on an upward trajectory, but for most people it's not realistic. So just seek to get a little bit better. But as you're getting better, it doesn't mean you can't be mean, you can't express your dark side, you can't, it doesn't mean any of those things. Those parts are necessary. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad to see that. You're very kind. But yeah, and when you uphold your boundaries, you also show other people another way, because there are many people in the world that are being mistreated or don't know how to stick up for themselves. They don't have the courage to, they don't know how, or they just accept things how they are and suffer it. And that's not right. That's not how it should be. So when one person stands up, they automatically become like a leader. They show everybody else that there is another way of being. It inspires them. And then those people begin to have themselves, and as they do, these things spread and it changes the culture. By standing up for yourself and not taking nonsense from anybody, that's one way that, for instance, bullying will go away. A lot of things that are wrong with societies all over the world can go away by people sticking up for themselves. This goes to every single level, from individual levels to jobs to communities, states, countries, everything. Standing up for yourself and not allowing people to violate your boundaries is actually even linked to truth. It's not good to lie. Like, false friendships or false peace is not something that will work out in the long run. What did you barely do? What did you barely do, boss? Well, it's not something that will work out in the long run. Oh, that is awesome. Yes, it feels good, doesn't it? It feels good when we stand up for ourselves and we show everybody else that there's another way. We need more people in the world to do that on every level. By you doing it, your friends see it, your family members see it, even people who don't like you see it, and people actually respect you for that, because nobody likes to be mistreated. And even if we don't like somebody, a lot of times somebody that doesn't like somebody, they see aspects of them that in others that they want or they wish they had. So when somebody is strong, or if they stand up for themselves, in some way everybody respects you on some level, or at least they know how to operate around you, even if they don't show it. Or at least something that would translate to respect, because they won't mess with you. You know, if like something, for instance, if something is like a dangerous animal, you won't want to go around stepping on it. But then if something is not a dangerous animal, you won't be so mindful of being around it. You might end up like stepping on its tail or something. You don't even have to be physically dangerous. It could be like repercussions or something. Like, it could be like a porcupine. If you step on a porcupine, it's gonna pop out its quills and something's gonna happen. But yeah, the formula to do this effectively is basically a self-mastery type of thing. It's a way of being, and the deeper you go into this, the more effectively you will be able to uphold your boundaries. Detachment is a part of it, because as you uphold your boundaries, you can't be attached to your anger. You can't be attached to the situation, because if you do, you will get led astray, you will make mistakes, and you will fall into that. You will mess up somewhere in some way, and you will become entrenched in this matrix trap, basically. So as you uphold your boundaries, you must do so as it's necessary. logically. I'm not saying you never use your intuition or your feelings, but you don't act emotionally, even though you might use your emotions to guide you. You don't act emotionally because that leaves you susceptible to mistakes and attacks, and the people who don't like you or who they're messing with you, a lot of times they're manipulators and narcissists, and you're very proficient at using emotional things against you. Nail polish. So detachment, to do this really effectively, detachment is one of the things that somebody needs to cultivate. Also, you need a high level of self-awareness. You need to really be aware of yourself and the emotions that go through you in all the various situations of life as you're upholding your boundaries, because you can't adequately or accurately uphold your boundaries if you don't know in what area. Like, if you're always an angry person, but then in some situation you are feeling sad, or you are feeling, let's say, envious, or if you miss something, but you're only familiar with your anger, that anger will lead you astray. Yes, emotionally, on this path, the more you shouldn't act emotionally. It's good to be self-aware. Self-awareness isn't something to cultivate in this. Like, be very aware. Like, let's say, like, if you're sad or if you're feeling envious of something, like if you're with your partner and then something happens, and like the person is giving attention to somebody else or something, be aware of your feelings, and then adequately, not emotionally, but then accurately process the environment and everything. Be like, okay, why is this person doing that? Why is it doing that? It might not even be the environment. It might just be that the person that you're with doesn't respect you. Or it doesn't have to be a partner. It could be a friend. It could be somebody that's a friend, or a so-called friend, doesn't respect you correctly, or they don't really like you. So they violate you in little ways. So your emotions will lead you astray. You need to have a high level of self-control so that you can accurately process your emotions, but watch them. Watch them and not be pushed and pulled by them, and then see as where they're going, and then be like, okay, that's not where my values are. That's not what I like. I don't like that. And then you choose to act like that. You choose to act on it. You don't act on it because you're compulsive. Process it. You process that anger or that sadness or that envy or whatever emotion it is. And then you logically decide which way to act, and then you act. How you live with people? By observing. That's how you live with people, by observing. Yes. And as you observe people and you learn people, you might get bored of some people sometimes. It might be fun to constantly change your environment. But as you do, you might see that a lot of people, they operate in the same way. Like, everybody's personality is unique, and everybody has their own things that they do and don't do, and their own dislikes. Nobody's exactly the same. But kind of like an archetype or a way of being, the foundations, a lot of times they're the same. Like, they might, when they get angry, they might do this or do that. Like, if they become frustrated, most of the time, let's say if somebody feels unheard or they don't get attention, they get angry. When they get angry, they feel less than. Then they try to get that attention. They might try to manipulate that attention in the environment. It might not always seem to be going that way, but like most people are like grown little kids. They might seem like adults, but they operate like little kids mentally and emotionally, and you can easily predict where they're going to go as you deal with enough people and you observe them. They will all be unique in the ways that they do it. Like, everybody will be unique, but still they will, most of the time they will follow a predictable path because it will always be according to some type of pattern. And as you see this, you might even get bored of people, like basic people. And you might, oh yeah, that this takes me into something. As you start to uphold your boundaries and you start to recreate your life and you start to remove the people in your life who are holding you back or who violate your boundaries, you will eventually begin to have higher standards for the type of people you allow to have access to you, the type of people who you allow into your life. And that will be a good thing, because then as these people who are better than the other ones previously come into your life, you will be able to cultivate more meaningful relationships with them and do more things with them because you have set standards for yourself. You don't want to allow people in your life in any way who don't have certain standards that are according to your likes, because it's a thing of self-love. Like, if you don't have a standard of, like, I don't allow people around me who disrespect me, you will constantly get people around you who do that, because you're giving yourself access to everybody. It might sound a little prideful, but it should be a privilege for other people to experience you. And if you don't see yourself like that, and if you don't create it like that, then nobody else will either. Everybody should always value their time, their own presence, and their own energy. And they should only give it to people that's reciprocated. Because energy and time is basically money. It's more important than money. You can't buy time. So as you are upholding your boundaries and you clean your environment and your life, and more higher level people begin to enter it, and you have higher standards for yourself, your life will get better, and your experiences and relationships with people will get better, and your standards will continue to increase. Just because somebody new enters your life according to your standards, it doesn't mean that they might never mess with you, because you will continue to grow and your standards will continue to increase, and theirs should too. They should grow with you. Nobody should become a cancer or dead weight to you in any way. Not mentally, not emotionally. They should regulate their own emotions or whatever. But yeah, this stuff can go very deep, and I don't think that there's anybody in the world right now. Yes, continue to grow, and there's no limit, because I don't think there's anybody in the world right now who has perfect boundaries, because of just how the way the world is set up, how we all seem to be in a melting pot of crabs in a bucket. Everybody's playing for themselves, so then everybody is working against everybody else. So you kind of have to exit that whole game, and you have to have your own boundaries and stop playing that thing, because it's a never-ending trap, in truth. And as your boundaries keep on getting stronger, and your standards for yourself and the people and things you allow access to get stronger and stronger, the things that seek to violate it will grow as well. And your challenges will get bigger as well. Because if normal people can't mess with you and you start to influence a lot of things, then communities or brands or groups of people or people who now are in the same higher category as you will start to try to mess with you. So this kind of goes into freedom, because if you want to be truly free, you need strong boundaries. You need strong boundaries to create a business, to create a life, to create a family, to create a project, your own peace of mind, even in your own room. If you don't have strong boundaries, your neighbors and the people who live around you will continue to violate it. Make no mistake, we live in a jungle. Everywhere is a concrete jungle. Do not be fooled by our society's buildings and cars and technology. We are animals first. We are still animals. We have not completely evolved past our caveman instincts and our animal instincts. A person on a path of self-mastery must very, very deeply understand how people are and how they operate, and you must begin to anticipate why people do the things they do. I'm not saying that we know you can read somebody's mind. That's a different topic. I'm not saying behave crazy, but I'm saying you need to understand people very, very deeply so you can anticipate what they're doing. You need to really understand people so you can uphold your boundaries in every way. A lot of times, if you get high enough, people won't even know how they're violating your boundaries because they haven't been educated. They're just so used to messing with people and behaving in a way that's on such a low level because all they deal with are low level people that constantly violate them. So when you come around them as your higher standards, they won't know how to behave around you. So you might need to educate them. And educate them is an open term. Educate them by giving them what they need, not what they want. Yes, we are monkeys. And you're right, we are monkeys. And I would say a person on the path of self-mastery is seeking to grow beyond the monkey. I would say that you, boss, are not a monkey, or at least you are evolving beyond it, which is what everybody who is attracted to something is doing. But to truly evolve beyond being a monkey, you need to understand and truly accept all of the parts of you that are that monkey. That is the parts of your human nature and your dark side and your desires and the parts of everybody. That you will understand, you will be able to really see how everybody is violating everybody else. The monkey thing is actually a very good way to look at it because animals, they understand boundaries. In the animal kingdom, boundaries are reinforced by physical threat of life and death. On our caveman level instincts, that is how it is. Yes. Yeah. We keep on growing like the Monkey King all the way up. I don't know the end of that story, but I think he challenged heaven or challenged something and overthrew it. I would say for my purposes, I'm not challenging heaven or the creator, but I am challenging everything that is untrue. And it seems to be that this world is built on untruth and falsehood. So Wukong is very relevant. The Monkey King is very relevant. And I think he's even that's an aspect of Shiva, or he's linked to Shiva. Shiva the Destroyer. So, yeah, as you uphold your boundaries, some things need to be destroyed. False friendships, false ideas, educate people on their false philosophies. I'm not saying go out of your business and go into people's business and mess with them in their life. But if somebody is coming and mess with you, or if they're violating you, now it is your business. Because they made it your business as soon as they entered your field and tried to mess with you. So now it's your business, and now you can educate them. If they try to say otherwise, we'll say, well, you shouldn't have tried to mess with me, or you shouldn't have messed with me at all. Oh, he became one of the 15 highest Buddha. That's awesome. Yeah, that is a good way, you know? That is a very good way to become enlightened. It's very... That actually... I can very much relate to that path of becoming enlightened like that. I'm not saying I'm enlightened yet, but I can really understand that path. You can too, probably. It's very fun, you know, that kind of goes into how this whole thing is an adventure. Whole life is an adventure, and it's a good adventure to have, like Wukong. And if you mess up in not upholding your boundaries in as good of a way as you could have, don't beat yourself up or be upset with yourself, because it is all a journey. So just like a sport or any other activity, every day you get a little bit better. You get a little bit better. But the more honest you are with yourself, the bigger risks you are willing to take. You have to take risk in upholding your boundaries too. That sometimes it might get you fired. You might break relationships. Everybody might think that there's something wrong with you. You might get the cops called on you depending on what part of the world you're in. But at the end of the day, it's something you got to deal with inside yourself. It's a decision you got to make based on yourself. What are you going to value? Are you going to value your truth and your boundaries and your right, your life-given right, or your universe-given right to be free and not be hindered and messed with by anybody or anything in any way? Or are you going to allow fear or the powers that be or institutions and people's opinions to limit you in your authentic expression and your authentic freedom? That's everybody's own personal thing. That's everybody's own personal decision that they got to make and weigh within their own self. But the people on the path of self-mastery, they usually prioritize their own freedom and power and knowledge and growth above all. And that is a good way to be. Yes, it is a great journey. Thank you for being here, boss. You are a very welcome individual in this, and you have helped guide this talk. Thank you. You know, if you know anybody that could benefit from this, you should tell them. If there's any, okay, I'm glad to see that. You should have somebody join, or if you have any question or any aspect or any direction that you want to go in, or you want me to go in, or you want to ask about this, please ask. It'll help guide this, because I've said a lot of stuff from what I had on my mind. There's always a lot more to say about this, but I'm not really sure. Oh, that's awesome. Or maybe even if he wants to know something, if he has a question about it or any aspect. But, okay, look. An extreme of upholding your boundary. The last line of upholding your boundary, which most people shy away from, it reverts back to our caveman times, which is the physical act of upholding the boundary. And in our civilized society, when the mental and emotional fields do not work, when your communication does not work, when your appeal to the person does not work, if you choose to, you shouldn't even have to appeal to their emotions or ask them, like beg them not to do anything or try to get them to change their mind or something. If those things don't work, you need to reinforce your boundaries physically. And to do that, you need power. As a man and as a woman. But especially as a man, to effectively uphold your boundaries, you need the physical capability to uphold your boundary. And this isn't always limited to like being strong or being like physically capable. You could use strategy. You could use the art of war, how I go into on this channel, how I have a video on. No matter who you are, whether if you're a weak person or strong person, individual, you need to be dangerous. You need to have the capacity to be dangerous. For the final line of the boundary, you need to be able to be dangerous to anything and anybody that violates your boundary. Because we are all cavemen deep down. We are all animals deep down. And when an animal invades your territory or violates your boundary, you need to be able to physically reinforce your boundary by inflicting pain on it or getting rid of that threat. It's something that a lot of people, for a long time, a lot of people in this whole self-empowerment, self-mastery thing don't like to admit or don't like to go into, but that's the reality. It's about truth. We can't lie about it. We can't hide from it. Self-mastery is a form of power, and you need power, because just look at the world. Even all the people who try to hide from that truth, look at the shape of the world. It seems to only be getting worse. You need power. The people who don't have the physical power to uphold their boundaries, they will die. That's the reality of it. If you don't have the physical power to uphold your boundary, which is the last line, most of the time you will die. Because we're cavemen and animals at the end of the day. It shouldn't be like that. I personally do not wish for it to be like that. It's not about me, but ideally, in a thing of self-mastery, we seek to go into 5D. People wouldn't need to physically uphold their boundary, because that would be like a utopia, but we are not there yet. Even though that's the ideal is peace, that's not our reality yet. That's a goal. It's a good goal to have. I believe we are capable of reaching it, and I believe we are on the path of reaching it, despite what the world seems like. But we are not there yet, and until we completely get there and humanity evolves into a new phase of their evolution, collectively, not just some people, everybody, or most people, power will be very necessary, and you are in danger if you do not have it, even if you don't know it or if you don't think it. I will get all the power. Yes, that is a very good way to be. I'm understanding more and more why we get along, the more I learn about you. Yeah. All power to you, my friend. All the power. The right people should have power. You see what happens when the wrong people have power. When the wrong people have power, they create suffering and sadness, and they harm the people below them. They don't care about them. It's usually weak people. When weak people have power, nothing good comes of it. Because weak people, like if you put a weak person in a position of power, they will be pissed off throughout all their life because they're weak. They will, when a weak person gets put in a position of power because they never had power, then they will be in a position to express their anger, which they were never able to do. So they will usually begin to take revenge on people, or be be extremely ruthless, or be extremely critical with harsh punishments. Those are usually tyrants or like dictator types. But for a person to be really good, to be a good person, you have to be strong, because if you're not capable of doing harm and you don't do any harm, you're not a good person. You're just a weak person incapable of doing any harm. That's not a good judge of your character, anybody's character. But if somebody is powerful and then they choose to do good, that's a good judge of character. So yeah, it's like many ways that we go about this. They're all connected. As you uphold your boundaries, you need both sides. You didn't want no power. Yeah, those are usually the type of people who are supposed to have power, the ones who don't want it, because they have a good intention. That's usually why they shy away from it. They don't want it, usually, or a lot of times. It's kind of like the person who always wants to become king, they usually shouldn't be king because they want it out of their ego. They want it for their own selfishness, and those types of people create suffering and lots of bad things for the people under them once they come into position of power. They mess up the country, the state, the business, whatever it is that they're ruling. Then the types who don't want power because they're not attracted to it. You know, they want to be free and they want to be simple or whatever their reason is. They just don't want power. Those are the types that are usually more pure. It doesn't mean they're perfect, but they're better vessels to be in that position of power so that they can lead the others. They will create a better environment compared to that person who always wants power. Usually, that's how it is. If you look at history. Yeah, I know. I remember. And I was speaking honestly when I said that earlier, that you are the type that should be king, that should be in a position of leadership. I think you are a leader. I speak the truth. If I compliment somebody, usually I'm not complimenting them. I'm just speaking the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. It comes out as a compliment. It's the truth. If it's the truth and I insult somebody, it's an insult, but it's the truth. It's all the truth. I speak the truth. And I was speaking the truth of what I said. You are the type that should have that power and should be the leader. You already are a leader. You should accept that more fully and truly embrace it. And then you will see the people's true colors. And then it'll be time to uphold your boundary. You will see the people in your life's true colors as you move up a step. New levels, new devils. That's a saying, from my experience, is very true. Every time you move up a level, the people's roles in your life change. Friends can become enemies. Past enemies might become beneficial. It's possible. I've had it happen. Might become acquaintances, or old rivals might become like able to cooperate to help each other go higher or something. But every time you go up a stage, new levels, new devils. It will be time to uphold your boundaries, refine, and yes, new level, new devil. Anytime you go up a level, it's time to take stock and watch everybody in your life, even the person who just helped you move up a level. Because right when you kick into that next level and now you're operating on your new evolution, like right when you go Super Saiyan, now Krillin might start hating on you. Right when you move up a level, now your coach might start, or your teacher might start hating on you because you get better than what they ever thought. Or even if they always wanted you to be good, a part of their insecurity kicks in, and their shadow and their dark side they're not aware of, or they never integrated, or they never did the work for to integrate that part of them or heal that part of them. No matter how good they want, that part will still influence their behavior towards you. And if you keep on going higher, it will eventually become a hindrance. Even if it's just being around them and they are able to completely not do anything negative, they will just be negative around you. You can fight that in almost everyone and help them. I think what you meant to say is you can find that in almost everyone and help them without even realizing. I believe that because people who are like, people who have the gifts of what I've already called out in you, they're usually like that because that gift is in their soul, or that gift is in their personality on a subconscious level. It's always there. It's kind of like how your soul, your dreams are linked to your life mission. And your soul has that seed in it that becomes that tree. So all of your gifts are already in you, and you have already been being trained by life, guided by the universe or God or whatever you believe in, to be in the right places at the right time, and everything has happened for a reason for you, the good and the bad, to get you to where you are, even if you weren't always aware of it or why something happened. So it's always been training you for your purpose. That's why some stuff like that happen if you don't realize it, but then you realize it when it's time, and you still love them despite what they did. Yes, and that's good for you, because then you don't get any bad karma and you don't carry that negative energy with you, and it helps them get their karma. And a lot of times when you're like that, if you go around those people and they know that they messed you with you and they know that you still love them, they will do it again, because they're sick. A lot of the times they just can't change, and you'll still forgive them, which is good. That's why that type of person is supposed to be a leader. That type of person is not a normal person. It's not the average typical person. You can't put a sheep as a king. He wouldn't do anything. He would just go and eat the grass all day and be scared when a threat comes in. The whole farm would fall apart or whatever. You need a dog as the king of the sheep, or, if you understand what I'm saying, like, the person that's in the position of leadership cannot be the typical average person. They need to be more developed than the other ones. They need to be different, because there's a lot more things to take into consideration when you're in a position of leadership. You need to understand all your subjects. You need to understand all the people you're leading and teaching, and your decisions will affect all of them. Most people cannot be in a position like that, because whatever they're trying to do will lead to disaster, and everybody that they're trying to lead will suffer. Yeah, I'm not surprised that you understand at this point. I will be surprised when you don't understand, because we are like, we got to do something. Boss, we can talk about that on something else, but we got to take this stuff to the next level. I have a lot of stuff I do, but wow, that's awesome. Thank you, boss, for being here. This is the most interactive a person has ever been with me on live. It's awesome. I don't know where to go with this. Yeah, we can do that. I'm very interested in that. Just tell me about that off of here, and I'll talk to you about it off of here. But yes, 100%. Let's go and do that eventually. Yeah, great idea. But yeah, maybe we can even go live over there. That would be a great idea. Yes, we definitely got to do that. Yeah, it's for entertainment purposes. Yeah, talk about that. We'll talk about that off of this. Let's just keep this on this topic, but great idea, my friend. Definitely go into that later. Yeah. Not sure what else to go into about this. Boundaries. Okay. Let's say if somebody is upholding their boundaries in too negative of a way, if they are like destroying everybody that messes with them. I'm not saying you shouldn't say something to everybody or put everybody in their place, but let's say if they're going overboard, like they're getting out of control and they're like becoming a threat to every environment they go to. Because being too far on one side is a problem, but also being too far on the other is a problem as well. We've talked so far about not upholding your boundaries. But let's say if you are too critical with your boundaries, which most people aren't. Most people need to uphold their boundaries, but especially for people who are in positions of leadership or who have some type of power, if you're too critical with your boundaries, not only will you build a lot of bad karma for yourself and you will piss a lot of people off and it will eventually lead to disaster in some way, but you don't want to create that type. It doesn't feel good to create that type of negative energy everywhere you go. Your life will become negative and negative, and you will spiral downward and downward and downward. That's funny. Yeah. Um. Yeah, real dog. Wild. Man. You're raw and ruthless. It's awesome. I like it. You're authentic. But somebody who is upholding their boundaries in too harsh a manner and does that for long enough, they will spiral downward and downward. And they will basically eventually destroy their life. They could even die. Both extremes are wrong. The key is always to balance it out and know when to do what. There are some times when you need to let people slide. And I'm not saying do so out of fear or because there's danger or something. But it's because you need to operate, you need to view this whole playing field from a very high perspective, sort of like an eagle in the sky. You need to see where one decision will lead to the next. You need to be able to think like 10 steps ahead. But in truth, this is a spiritual thing, so it's even beyond the mental domain. You need to understand karma and energy. You need to understand that some things are just a dead end. Some things are NPCs, or they have to do with that, or some things, they're just lessons you need to let people go through, or you need to let people get their own karma, because this is where that saying applies, where if you stop and throw a rock at every dog that barks, you will never get to your own destination. You should, after you're able to do this and you're good at this, you should only uphold your boundaries, or you should only uphold your boundaries when not doing so hinders you or other people that you're in charge of or you are influencing for the better. Like if you are focused on creating something very important and some hater that's not even relevant walks by, like if you're having an event and some hater walks by and says something like, oh, screw you, or that's his attention, or she. And if you put attention on them, you are giving them the spotlight. And you are diverting everybody's attention at your event to that fool. You should not do that, because where attention goes, energy flows. But you should not do that. That thing, you should completely ignore that person. There's even a higher way. But that same thing applies to a lot of things, no matter what it is you're doing. You should ignore the things that aren't important. You should ignore the people that are like tiny, like insects. I'm not saying about their physical size, but if they're like irrelevant, they're stupid, they're foolish, you should ignore them. You shouldn't even be paying any attention to them. They're not important. They can't do nothing to you. A fly is nothing to a tiger. That type of thing. But then, I'd say like, if those types of things begin to get in the way or begin to hinder, then you have to uphold the boundaries. It's just you have to remain focused. You got to be very focused on your purpose. You should never be doing anything stupid. This goes into another topic too. Like, everybody's here for a reason and they have a purpose. While you're on your purpose, you should remain focused and you should uphold your boundaries when necessary, when it's diverting you from that focus and purpose. Now, a lot of people aren't on their purpose and they're not on their focus. So they're not focused on their purpose because they're not on their purpose. They're lost in life. And a lot of times, those are the people that become the NPCs or operate like NPCs. I'm not saying if NPC is real or not, but they operate like NPCs. They become negative. They become pessimistic. They become sad and upset and harbor resentment for anybody who's doing something in life. Because it's those people who don't have a purpose in life. So when you've got a purpose in life, you automatically need to have but you need to set boundaries. You're living life. You're actually living. You're awakened from the rat race or the trap or the being a cog in the machine of the system, of every system in the world, basically. So you Yeah, that's true. I've used karma for years and years. I still do. Despite what it may seem, I know. I know how me saying that doesn't sound true, but I use karma a lot. The good side and the bad side. But it's kind of linked to that new levels, new devils. So every new level, there's new devils, yes, but there's another aspect that comes into this now. We've gone into it. How you operate on every level changes. It's like in each new level, new devil. Each level is like a new level of the video game. Now think of each level of this video game as in each level, sometimes you got to switch your character. So let's say in last level, you had to uphold your boundaries a lot, right? You had to create something. Now the new level, new devil, now you've created it. Now that previous character of upholding your boundaries ruthlessly might not be as effective. Now you got to stay focused and flow. Now you got the thing rolling. So now you got to stay focused and flow and avoid distractions and only put your attention on things that get in the way. And then maybe the level after that, you got to uphold your boundaries again. The point is, every level, you need a different version of you. You need to operate in a different way. Something that you used in a previous level might be the complete wrong thing in this new level that will lead to mistakes and lead to failure in this level. In previous levels, I have used that karma thing a lot. I've used that for years. And it's very, very true and very, very powerful. Sometimes you can see people get instant karma. And how you operate and how you don't become attached to it and how you hold your state of being throughout the different situations that you go through, it seems to affect how fast and how effectively and how much those people get their karma for messing with you. So the karma thing goes very deep. And yes, you're 100% right. They do get their karma. That's a good foundation to have. But you know, if you're dealing with somebody in a situation where you get really, really tired of leaving it to karma, and like they're in your house or something, or like if you're always seeing them at work, like they're in your environment, they're constantly around you and they can't leave you. If it's a coworker or like a spouse or whatever, or if a difficult person, and you get really, really tired and you're about to flip out on them, or you're very angry or about to react or whatever, that's when you can apply this. That's when you can begin to uphold your boundaries, because then at that point you're not going to leave it to karma because you're suffering or you're pissed off or you're upset or whatever. So instead of flipping out at that moment, you can begin to uphold your boundaries. Instead of like telling them off or cursing them out or yelling at them, you can be direct. You can channel your anger and be direct. Be like, what's your problem? They say they have a problem, or they're like, you can be like, do you have a problem? And they say, yes, what's your problem? Communicate it. Channel your anger into communication. That communication, you can uphold your boundaries. And it doesn't mean that you only talk. You, depending on what they say and how it responds, you can uphold your boundary. That conversation can lead to them leaving your life. If you're in charge, or if you're the leader of that business or whatever, they can lead to them getting fired. You kick them out, whatever. That's when you channel your boundaries in those situations. When you're tired of leaving it to karma in certain situations, or if you can't and you're about to flip out or you're really angry, that's when you can apply this. That's how I actually do it. The first thing is karma. And you can even be mindful of you not violating your own karma. But by somebody can be mindful of not creating bad karma for themselves by overreacting in a situation. That's something that I do my best to do and apply. But yeah, this is the longest live I've ever done, and I think I'm going to end it now. Thank you very much, boss, for being here. I appreciate that. It was awesome. The other lives had some more people. I don't know what happened with this one. Maybe it's the algorithm or something, but this is the most interactive somebody was with me on live. I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some benefit, actually. No, I hope you got some benefit. I hope you benefited greatly. And anybody who's with you, I hope you benefited from it. If you enjoyed it too, that's good, but the benefit's most important. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. And I like your idea that you said. I'll definitely let you know about that.